Welcome to Buy It on BirchStreet, the weekly show where we highlight the best of procure-to-pay on demand in innovation, automation, and solutions to help save you and your customers valuable money and time. BirchStreet Systems provides global enterprises with multiple locations a complete procure-to-pay business solution deploying cloud technology. I'm your host, Gareth Fraser. Our guest today is BirchStreet Systems Senior Account Executive for the Western United States, Diana Imber. Welcome, Diana.
Thanks, Gareth. Appreciate it.
Let's begin by having you share your background in hospitality with us and what brought you to BirchStreet Systems.
Sure. I started working at a hotel right out of high school as a desk clerk. And during college, my general manager encouraged me to go through the management training program, which had me working in every department for a minimum of 3 months, learning the ins and outs of the business. I loved operations specifically, so it included all sorts of different computer applications. After about 17 years of on-property work in both sales and operations, I decided to branch out to hospitality technology, starting in a support call center role, supporting a PMS called CLS. This was many years ago. I then moved to sales, selling the PMS I supported, and through my sales career, I had the opportunity to work for some of the best hospitality technology companies, selling things like web services, booking engines, CRS software, sales and catering applications, housekeeping and maintenance software, and procurement was something that I never sold or used. So I felt that it was a missing piece in my career development. And while selling sales and catering and maintenance software, housekeeping and maintenance software, I was working with Amadeus, and I was working with Paul Rantilla, who works at BirchStreet today. I was lucky enough to work with him. And then when this position became available at BirchStreet, I was delighted to join Paul and the team to sell procurement. So I'm honored to be part of this organization as I continue to learn and grow my experience in hospitality technology.
Well, indeed you do. I find that out all the time when I'm interacting with professionals in hospitality in the spheres of sales and marketing, where they bring your name up. Oh, I know Diana. I've met Diana here at a conference, or we work together. So it helps me appreciate your depth of experience. That leads us to our next question. Please tell us a little bit more about your role at BirchStreet Systems.
I'm an account executive for the Western region here at BirchStreet. The Western region covers, obviously, California, Las Vegas, and Hawaii. I'm specifically fond of Las Vegas just because of how vast the casino market is there and the hospitality market is there, how big the hotels are, their grasp of technology and their love of technology. So I really like and enjoy working in Las Vegas, but who doesn't like California and Hawaii? So I'm very lucky to have this region.
Indeed you are. I've had the privilege to live all across the Western region, from Southern California all the way through to Washington State, and travel out into the Hawaiian Islands various times. My favorite, of course, is Kauai. But anyway, you're right. You do have one of the most beautiful regions with so much diversity, but also such a need for hospitality and procurement, which leads us to our next question. What, in your view, is the primary value proposition for BirchStreet Systems' P2P solution in the hospitality sphere?
Without overuse of the word, I really think that we truly are a one-stop shop for a complete purchase-to-pay solution. With BirchStreet, hoteliers love to have a complete solution where they don't have to manage different areas of their business in disparate systems, application systems. The more they can get out of a single solution, the more efficient the business runs. So if I can process an order, generate a PO, receive an invoice, manage my inventory, including recipe, and pay my suppliers all in one system, it's very efficient. And it makes my job as a user so much easier, because there's nothing worse than having to remember 10 different applications, 10 different passwords, 10 different reporting schemas. It's just so much easier. And I really think with my exposure here at BirchStreet, we are a one-stop shop, a complete purchase-to-pay solution. I think it's really what the true value proposition is for our customers.
Well, how true that is. For our listeners' benefit, we just came off a West Coast sales call before this podcast where Diana said more than once in regard to casino and gaming and other hotel properties and prospects that they repeatedly say we are that all-in-one solution, providing them the greater value, saving them valuable time and money. Next, can I ask you, Diana, in the world we live in today, it's such a globalized, interconnected economic landscape, and with the pandemic period, how has this impacted hospitality's leading brands?
Well, I mean, it's been pretty devastating, specifically to the business travel and group segments. We're still not back to 2019 levels in these segments. And these are two of the largest sources of revenue to hotels, these two segments, business and group. It's also created a significant labor shortage, the fear of coming back to work, the fear of getting sick, the less immigration coming across for the help. Specifically speaking of the housekeeping section in hotels has been through the immigration, and even immigrants, or some of them are afraid to come. Some of them have gone back home and not come back. That labor shortage is forcing hotels to change the way they do business, from daily cleaning of guest rooms to developing creative ways of contactless engagement. I'm hoping to return back to 2019 levels in all segments, but I've heard we won't get back in group segment or in business travel segment until 2024. So it's been pretty devastating.
We only have time for one more question, and it's helpful for our listeners to understand BirchStreet Systems' solution is in sports stadiums throughout the world, and we are seeing sports come back to specific degrees around the world with fuller stadiums. Now, that leads to this question, because anyone who knows you or connects with you on LinkedIn or interacts with you soon comes to find out that you are a baseball fan, and specifically an LA Dodgers fan. Could you tell our listeners, Diana, what drew you to the sport of baseball, and specifically to become such an amazing fan of the LA Dodgers?
Well, I was born in Los Angeles and lived there until I was about 7. But I remember specifically when I was around 10 or 11 years old, my older brother, not by much, only 11 months, broke his ankle and was laid up for 8 to 12 weeks. It was a pretty bad break, and it was in the summer. So he would make me watch every Dodger game with him to keep him company because he was not mobile, and learn the game of baseball. I remember trying to get away, like we would be laying on the shag carpet, this is how old I am, on the floor watching a console TV and trying to crawl away, and he would drag me back, rug burns and all, and hold me down and make me watch baseball, specifically the Dodgers. So I learned so much about the game and fell in love with it that summer. And it didn't hurt listening to Vin Scully call the games, because I learned just as much from Vin Scully as I did from my brother about baseball and just the nuances of baseball, the strategy of baseball. It's definitely a thinking man's game, the management of baseball. So baseball and the Dodgers are like home to me. It's very, very comforting.
Well, in my personal life, and for our listeners' benefit, my wife and her family are Dodgers fans. I happen to be a fan of a team a little further north in the Bay Area, but maybe it's rubbing off on me. Our marriage is still intact, so perhaps eventually I might cross over and become an LA Dodgers fan. Well, that's all the time we have, Diana. We've loved having you here. We look forward to having you back. Thank you for joining us for the discussion today.
Thank you, Gareth. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and it's great working here. I love it.
I echo those sentiments. That's all the time we have, so it's goodbye from us, and we'll see you next time right here on It On BirchStreet.